Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a glorious Sunday morning over here, and it is actually bright and sunny, but I did get a full night of sleep, so I'm feeling much better than yesterday. Holy shit, man, I felt like absolute garbage yesterday. So after a good 8 hours of sleep, I'm ready to go once again, and Bitcoin actually hitting the top side of our short-term targets at 10.5, 10.6 region, now backing off in the early morning hours. So what does that lead us up into as we get the new week started, as the weekly is going to be closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. CME is opening up at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So there's going to be plenty to discuss with regards to all of that. Other than that, let's go take a look at the Krown Chain application, which can be found at app.crowntrading.net. There's a link in the description below, and it's also free, so take advantage of it. Anyways, Bitcoin dominance coming down about another 0.5% from 50, I believe it was 56.5% yesterday to 56 right now. Still kind of basing on that same area, but I don't really have anything new to discuss on that one. I actually do think that long term we are in more or less of a bottoming area for the Bitcoin dominance region. Anyways, looking at the fear and greed index coming down another 3 points, which is actually rather odd, as Bitcoin did travel up $300, $400 since we last spoke. So fair enough. The fear and greed index continues to confuse. And looking over here at the open interest, pretty much the same thing that we've seen for more than a week straight now, actually a week and a half, going at that 1.9.5 billion marker. So with that said, let's go over here into the actual price action charts, wasting no more time today. And let's start it off with the daily and go to the same chart that we were referencing yesterday. And yep, there it is. Bitcoin hitting into the bottom, or sorry, the top side of the blue box territory. That was just a short-term, medium-term target right there, of which I don't really have anything new to add about that. I would initially be looking for it to push back on this, especially with today being a Sunday and CME's closing on Friday at 10,340 trading price, which they do have about a $50 to $100 premium on spot price action. So that'd still be spot somewhere right around about 10,250. In fact, we can go pinpoint exactly what it closed at, as this did have a closing price on Friday at 10,350. That was 2100 my time. So let's go see what that would be on, I believe it was the 11th. What it was 2100 my time, right? Okay, can't even remember what I just said. Yeah, so somewhere right around here. So yeah, about 10,250-ish region is what it looks like to me. And overall, I imagine that we're probably going to hang around here until CME's open up a little bit later today. But in the meantime, what does that mean for this? As we did hit that target essentially. So it looks, the way that the 4 hour closed here does look like it's going to give another slight wick higher try, maybe towards the exact wick high that we saw right around here on the 4th of September, somewhere around that 10.6 region, of which, I mean, we kind of already hit 10.675.5 trading high thus far. Or sorry, actually, no, I take that back. 10,583 high thus far. So anywhere within this region is just more or less grinding that area out. And I would look for things to kind of come back down and return to that region somewhere around the time that CME's open up later today, again 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking at momentum oscillators for the very low term time frames, there's a lot of things that actually shove up their nice glorious face in this morning. First and foremost, we do see that 4 hour Stokes are headed nice and back and upwards, but they are going to be meeting that same trend line that we spoke about yesterday. So I do believe that this would also kind of line up with this area being more or less a pullback area. Now, of course, can I be wrong in that? Yes, of course, but this is the way that I trade, going from level to level. So anytime that I hit, anytime that price action hits a level like this, I look for things to back off first and foremost, and it's not until it actually closes above the top side, in this case, where I target the next move up, of which that would be somewhere right around about 10.9 to 11,000 bucks. The 4 hour and 200 exponential average would look pretty damn good about that, or sorry, look pretty damn right around there too, at the lower portion of that blue box at 10.9. So I just have it, kind of curtailed on about $100 range between 10.9 and 11,000. Anyways, as long as Bitcoin's living below 10.6, we'll call it right here on a 4 hour total closure. More importantly, I would not say that is broken just yet. However, there is also another way of doing this as well for looking for upside continuation, and that would be looking at the 12 hour or daily, of which 12 hours obviously going to close before the daily. But if the 12 hour does close anywhere above 10.5, we'll call it, then yes, I would be looking for that, for that price action to emerge, regardless of whether the 4 hour closes above 10.6 or not. 12 hour being 3x that time frame is going to be 3x more powerful. I don't know if it actually works out exactly like that, but it is going to be certainly more powerful, as that is a big chunk of time in comparison. So looking at this right now, let's go back down to those lower term time frames. And yes, as long as we're kind of grinding this area out, I do think that Bitcoin probably does, maybe test 10.6 a few more times. But as long as we're closing below on those time frames that we just spoke about, I do look for things to come back down, like I said, to about 10.250 sometime around well, any time between the time that CME is open today and then US open tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So looking at momentum oscillators, are they spent right now? I mean, look, again, 4-hour Stokes, they are hitting this trend line. So we would be looking for it to push back a little bit around this region. In fact, that is exactly where we are right now. And this is a fresh 4-hour dildo. So we would expect to see something, resembling a short-term top here, which we actually don't see right now. We also don't see any divergence signals in 4-hour RSI either. There's nothing to be spoken about here. I'm sure someone's going to call it hidden bearish divergence. No, you actually can't have hidden bearish divergence in a read like this because we have a 4-hour reversal right here, putting in a higher low and a higher high above this high right here and this low right here. So overall, you cannot have divergence in in the opposing trend. And as it stands, to me, this is just more or less a range. If anything, it would be the 4-hour jewel right here. Take give it a continuation haughtier long signal on the 11th of September at 2300, actually the same closing time, I believe, or around the same closing time that we saw for CMEs that same day. So, has this mostly played out or not already? I would argue yes, and I wouldn't really trust it too much more because we don't see the same things on CMEs. Now, of course, it is starting to line up here, maybe, sometime late this coming week, but that's also late this coming week and leaves a lot of time in between to kind of fill out the space. So to me, we're probably gonna tread a little bit sideways here still, even after hitting the top side of the range. Just like over here, we hit the bottom side of the range and then we trade up and go find our top. Well, now we hit the top side of the range. Let's go find what the next support is, of which I imagine we'll probably just have to play a waiting game once again. Okay, so looking at the very low term time frames, is there anything suggesting that we're going to see a move today? I'm looking at historical volatility percentile to let me know of that nature, and I actually looking at historical volatility percentile right here. Are we still in the in the process of a short-term expansion phase, up to this trend line, somewhat of a regression in this region? Yes, maybe, but overall, most of it's already been had. So it's still within the context of a greater contraction phase. And I believe that this contraction phase likely is going to speak towards the resolution of this current range right here. Again, 10.5 and 10,000 essentially to the upside and downside respectively. So, I don't believe that I don't believe that we're going to see that maybe today. Again, at the very least, I want to see CMEs trading, which is going to still be like another, 10, 12 hours or so. Of course, can be wrong on that one, but generally speaking, gonna align something with that. At least that's what I trust volatility reads most for. By hourly, not really showing us anything that we already haven't seen. What about hourly right here? What do we see here? Yeah, reaching up to that same trend line. We had the same sort of regression drawn in here, going back from 3rd or 4th of September. And yeah, meeting within this region is just about good enough for me as well. So I do think that we are going to come to a short-term high, whether it does get another wick higher, maybe even all the way up to the 377 up here, which also would be in line with kind of this prior little stutter step right here as well at that 10,650 or 10,700-ish region. I don't have a strong opinion on that. I only have strong opinions on closing prices for these dildos. So as it stands right now, it looks to me more or less like price action wants to range a little bit more. However, again, if those conditions are met, either a 4-hour closure above 10.6 or a 12-hour or daily above 10.5, then yes, I would extend targets all the way up to about 10.9 to 11,000 bucks. That's where the next big interesting things can happen, especially for the BULLISH and for the BULLISH. But let's now go to the daily. So everything that we've spoken about, up until now was just all very low term time frame bullshit. Now once we get to the daily, which I really consider more or less like a medium time frame, like the lower end maybe of the high term time frames. What stands out around here? Obviously the same cross that we've been referencing for the last few days. It has officially happened, the 21 crossing to the downside of the green 55 right here, which is historically relevant. Now I'll tell you why it's relevant, also why it's not relevant, but also what would make it relevant after that. So first and foremost, yes, we have officially gotten the cross there. More importantly, anytime that we have gotten this cross on the daily, generally more or less, trend does follow through with it. There are a few failures here and there, but for example, this one right here, giving you even in like a hindsight, or sorry, not a non-hindsight trade, just taking it, straight up after the signal, giving you about 35.5% to the upside. This one right around here, again, doing the same thing. So I guess price action would be down around here. Does get you that nice 47.5% move to the downside. This one actually stays death cross the whole way from 28th of August all the way down to this area right here. So let's actually just see what that would show as well. Again, assuming that we trade it perfectly, which is fucking impossible. But hey, there you go. 37.5% to the downside. Sounds a little bit familiar there as well. To this one to the upside in early 2019, getting a phenomenal run actually all the way 270% to the upside. Pretty fucking good. And then several examples in 2018, of which here we actually do have our first really bad example. But even in a bad example, I do want to show that, you know, even in a bad example, I mean, you get something like this. Like let's perfectly hindsight trade this one. So the signal gets shoved right here on this dildo right here, 65,500. If you just take it right at the closing price, there technically is another 10% move to the downside, even though it's not really continuation. Just come to the range lows of the 2018 saga, and as we can see over here, you know, several examples more with this guy right here going down another 31 or so percent. This one right here getting a phenomenal move, actually going all the way from like 12,000 down to 6,000, so about a 50% move right there as well. And then you can feel free to go over, you know, over all the past ones as well. I just want to give a few examples of what you typically look for on a percentage move on that. So as it stands right now, that is obviously in the cards because we do technically have it on spot price action. Here's the problem though, and here's what I put a lot more weight on. CMEs right here, as we spoke about yesterday, it's nowhere near. In fact, it would still take like another week of price action hanging below 10.5 to even get this cross, you know, kissing, or at least, you know, I'd imagine somewhere right around there. It definitely will not be happening, more importantly, as long as Bitcoin's trading below about 10.7 on CMEs as well. So as it stands right now, I would be cautious with it, but until CMEs have it, I don't really feel all that you know, all that justified in taking a move like that. You know, and even on CMEs, it's even a better timer of moves. It actually gets you the momentum on this move right here, gets you the momentum on this move right here, same thing right here, and then basically as a whole, yeah, we you know, we don't really have enough price action history over here to really make much use of it. So it is limited in that aspect, and it is in the cards. Yes, both of them do have negative slopes right now, but still, it would take, you know, it'd still take like another, you know, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days of hanging below this level, or this could happen as well, just break below our current range lows, which for spot price action would be $10,000. So I still kind of have the same disposition on that. While that is in the cards, and while that is, you know, relevant, it's not really relevant to play for, at least in my opinion, until we get a daily close below the bottom side of the range or a 4-hour close below the bottom side of the range. This chart right here was constructed on a 4 hour, so the bottom side of the range would be about 10,000 or slightly below. If we're looking at a daily, it would be a little bit higher, just, you know, just taking the lowest traded price right around here at about 10,150, and could do that on both a 12-hour or daily. So one of those two things or one of those three things would work for me. And then, you know, we can play around with numbers here. Let's do a little bit of let's do a little bit of number soup right now. So let's say that we do take this trade, and it actually does work off of the spot price market, of which we typically saw about, you know, on the lower end 30% move to the downside, on the higher end about a 50 to 60% move to the downside. Now let's just again play around with numbers here. I'm curious what this would show. What if we just shaved off, you know, 10%? Where would that put us? That actually put us right around 9,100, which is a very interesting area, because I actually do really like that area if our current $10,000 low does fail. But that's actually, you know, more or less on the side of a failure signal, like what we saw in 2018. On one of the more efficacious ones, you know, what have we seen up to? Well, you know, 30% is typically the going rate. And where does that put Bitcoin down around? Well, mid to low 7,000s. Why is that relevant to know? Well, if Bitcoin does break 9,100 right here, then I actually would be looking down around that region. And the reason why is because we have to look at a higher term time frame. Let's go right around here first. Maybe a weekly will reveal it. Well, I mean, a weekly would still be kind of, sorry, no. We need to go to a monthly. So a monthly right around here would actually have the 21 exponential average within that region, but no, that's actually not what I was looking for. Are my eyes deceiving me right now? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it would be within that region. Oh, no, it was the weekly. Okay, now I'm recalling it. That's right. Okay, let's put on the 200 simple right here, and actually the 200 simple on the weekly, which has caught all of the cycle lows, technically speaking, since 2015, which admittedly is only 3, to be fair. Like 3 technically does make a trend, to be fair, but I don't necessarily expect this thing to work perfectly throughout the history of Bitcoin. There will be times where it spends, you know, years below the 200 simple, you know, as time goes on. But more importantly, as it is right now, where is that coming in around, or where will it be coming around over the next like month or two? Well, mid to low 7,000s actually. So if Bitcoin did get down around there, historically speaking, that would be very much relevant. and I would be looking for a long-term position, and that would kind of, well, make it still kind of have this chart in its nice lovely just posturing here, where it's essentially, if we, should I get a new chart? Yeah, let's get a new chart right here, which essentially, let's just get rid of all of this, and what we'd be looking at is just one massive ascending triangle here off the lows. If that played into the macro with the next test down all the way to 75 or 7,000, somewhere around the 200 simple on the weekly. So that's the reason why I think it's a little bit relevant. But there's a lot of things that need to happen before that. First and foremost, this is not even a topic of discussion for myself until $10,000 gets broken. What's more likely right now is we test the top side of the range. Obviously, is that we break to the top side of the range. Nothing too crazy right there. And let's talk about what happens if we break the top side of the range, and then we'll kind of go back to the weekly for a second. But if we do break the top side of the range, we already spoke about 11,000 bucks right here. Above 11,000 though is where things get truly interesting once again for the boo laws, as this is going to look like, this is just going to look like a general continuation of uptrend. This would have very likely hidden bullish divergence on the weekly. Actually, let's discuss that for a second. Yeah, it would have ever so slightly bullish divergence present right there. And then I get, generally bullish from move back into the same ranges that we saw throughout August. The same levels would be relevant essentially. 11.3 was relevant on this area. 11.550 was relevant throughout this whole saga. 11.7 was relevant. That's actually where we started to really get bearish on this one. And then 12,000, just a nice psychological number, of which plenty of wicks are accumulated in, is all going to be relevant. But I generally have the bias of being bullish, so I'd be looking to accumulate on those, on those dumps along support. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. That's just the way that I'd probably be playing it myself. But I also want to see it in real time as well. Anyways, put back on all these beautiful major moving averages because if I feel blind without them. And what else did I want to say around here? Okay, yeah, let's go back to the weekly for a second. So the weekly has a lot of interesting things that are going on right now. First and foremost, this is the most relevant, I suppose, for what we're looking at right now, and that is the weekly 21 exponential moving average. Represented by the yellow moving average right here. Anytime that it's had a positive, anytime in history that it's had a positive slope in Bitcoin price action has been above it, any tests down to it have actually been phenomenally excellent buys for the long term. Let's just go back and you can decide for yourself. I mean, I shouldn't even put my ideas on this. I should just be showing you the information, then you can decide for yourself because, well, you're fucking capable. You figured out how to use YouTube. You can figure this out too. Anyways, going back to the genesis all the way over here, it has a positive slope. Anytime we dump down, boom, major move up. And by the way, these are deceivingly nice as this is on log scale. So this move right here was like a 60% move, by the way. It doesn't really test it after that, but fair enough. Then leads you all the way through over here. It actually tells you to stay long throughout this saga, as it does not get a negative slope, even though it does close below, but no negative slope was had. It does end up being a phenomenal buy price as well. And over the next couple months, 36% to the upside. So there you go. Works the same to the downside right here. Starts to get a negative slope, tells you that the party's over, time to be bearish. And it's not until right around here where we get the same sort of reads once again. And all of these moves, top to bottom on these bounces are pretty fucking nice. 56% right there. Almost immediately, another 18.5% right there, almost immediately, and it just continues the uptrend, by the way. So it's like, just accumulating on that region has historically been, well, profitable, we'll call it. 82% on this move right here, and you can just, you're free to look at this for yourself. But all these bullish dumps, might you say, down to the yellow 21 exponential moving average, were pretty damn nice. Again, assuming that criteria was met with price action closing above, most importantly, and also maintaining a positive slope in that direction. So right here, we actually still have that in play right now. So that's still, the main disposition on the weekly, as long as Bitcoin is, well, essentially above the 21. Guess where the 21 is? Guess where the 21 is on the weekly? Guess where the fucking 21 is? It's almost like this hocus pocus bullshit sometimes agrees with each other. 10,000 bucks, of course. So on the bottom side of the daily range is where that gets undone. So if we do start to close below there before the weekly closing price tonight, which I think would be rather unlikely. I don't think that that's happening right now. But if it were to happen, then yes, I would start to get, I would start to really look at that, 9,100 possibility as extremely likely, and 71 to 7,500 as relatively likely over time. But for right now, just looking at the weekly momentum oscillators, what do we see here? We did call out hidden bullish divergence is present right here, just barely, but it is, and that is relevant. More importantly, we do see that, well, actually, do we see anything that's more important than that? No, not really. It's hard to tell historical volatility percentile on the weekly right here. We are back above the moving average on this, but I don't think that it's all that great on this time frame. I think it's much more optimized, especially for an asset that's this young on the daily and below. And even the daily is kind of a stretch. It does get the long term very well, but it's funnily enough, it's actually like the 4 hour and below that seem to get the to get the reads like really precise with the settings that I'm using. By contrast, the weekly stocks are nosediving right here, and anytime that we have come below the critical zone anytime that Bitcoin on the weekly has gotten above the critical zone on weekly stokes and then come back down below, that's actually usually party overtime as well, calling this dump right here in July 2019, by the way. Which was this whole move down here, called all of these pullbacks on this whole run from 2015 to 2020 right here. I'll just briefly put the spotlight on them. I don't want to go through all them because, well, we've done this in the past before, and you probably already know, and you're free to do it yourself. But it did call all of those bullish dumps, which typically about 20 to 30% moves to the downside. So, I do want to show that there is a competing narrative to that right now. Even though we are testing the top side of the short-term range, there's still a lot of work to be done. So I do remain overall neutral within this area right here until direction is chosen. Until then, just trading ranges, and that's really all that has to be for myself. Now, going down here to the 4 hour, it is of, no, we already spoke about that. Now I want to check out how the lower term time frame momentum oscillators are they agreeing with each other or not. We do see that 3 hour stokes are nice and up as well, so it would be agreeing with the 4 hour. So nothing crazy right there. Bi-hourly, same thing as well, all coming to the same regions too, and then hourly in the same region as well. So they're all up around the critical zone. 4 hours just getting there too. And also keep in mind that it is going to be hitting this trend line right here as well. So I actually do think that a lot of this is going to be lining up for a pullback probably later today. The question is, though, before that happens, are we going to actually get a legitimate close above this region and initiate moves that higher? Well, I don't have an opinion on that. That's just something I let price action I just let price action tell me by whether it does it or not. Until then, I just go with the former assumption. Essentially, that's just my way of trading. Again, not to say it's the right way or the only way. It's just my way. I like it because it more or less keeps me safe, against those moves, which are less likely to happen. To be fair, let's go over here to the. Sorry, actually, we didn't even look at medium term time frame momentum oscillators. 10 hour stokes are way the fuck up there. This one's actually way more concerning to me than anything else. And now that we are in the TA nerd session, we're 21 minutes in. I sincerely think that the 10-hour stokes are more important than the 12-hour stokes now. They've gotten all of the major moves better than the 12-hour and faster than the 12-hour. So I'm a little bit skeptical of this, as we typically do not get much higher than this area right here. Only a few times in history, really, of which we saw one right here and like March, which was an absolutely crazy move back in over here in June 2019. Also another crazy move as well, both at like the top of these major rallies. So I would be looking at this area, with a little bit of caution here too. And seeing as we are actually seeing the medium-term timeframes kind of align with the short-term timeframes, the 4 hour and below, I do get skeptical on further continuation like immediately right now. I think it's more likely that maybe we get another spike up, but as long as no closures are had above, I do think that things come back down here and come back to the middle of the range, essentially, that 10,250-ish region, rather likely. Looking at the 12 hour, same thing as well. It does have this trend line forming right here as well, or formed right here actually. Let's see if that can get dragged back any further. Nah, not really. But overall, it would be guarded against the critical zone here as well, and we will be hitting that on like the next tick, maybe 2 ticks, depending upon how crazy this next one gets. But again, all of them are kind of coinciding with the same regions, which you just don't see all that often. So to me, while Bitcoin does hit the top side of the short-term range right here, all these momentum oscillators are suggesting that perhaps, especially if things do put in a local high right here, we're going to come back down to 10,000 and going to have a legitimate chance to actually break it, as momentum is all on the same side right now, or presumably it would be. Anyways, looking at the daily, do we see the same sort of thing? Actually, no, not at all. In fact, looking at the daily, we do see that daily stokes are popping back up right now after rejecting the critical zone right here. I don't see any trend lines forming here or anything like that. So I don't really have too much to make out of this, but there is something competing against those. So that would say that, matching that up with the lower term timeframes and even the 12 hour is a little bit difficult there, as you would expect them to have some sort of interplay, but no, they're completely different right now. Is there anything else of note on the daily right here? No, not really. Yeah, not really. Let's see what the 2-day and 3-day say. 2-day is going to start to turn around soon-ish as well. We actually are going to be hitting this trend line going all the way back from like December 2018, by the way. So fair enough. That was actually at the 3100 low right here, I believe. And then this was the more recent low in March 2020. So that was this low right here in December, and then this low right here in March. Could it be that hitting this next trend line is this next major low right here, and only the short-term time frames are suggesting that we're going to come back down to the low-term time frame bottom side, and then you get a nice, nice, lovely, beautiful buy-in price for the next major low in this market? Maybe yes, possibly yes. We also do have hidden bullish divergence in play on the buy daily as well. Hashtag gay for TA. But it is very much present. All jokes aside. As long as we are above this price point right here at 9150-ish region. So that would typically imply a target actually usually around the 20, usually around the 10 symbol or the 21. In this case, guess where they are? Guess where they are? Guess where they are? 10.9 to 11,000-ish region. So that is of interest as well. So with the 3-day, I would imagine it's just going to be more of a continuation of this. Yes, we have the same things kind of relevant here. Same sort of hidden bullish divergence present. Actually, much more aggressive too. 10.7 is a 21. The 10 symbol all the way at 11,000. So yeah, I do think that the ranges are going to get this one, but overall, the higher term time frames are still in more or less a nice posturing for the Bitcoin BULLISH here. Again, assuming that 10,000 does not break. If 10,000 does break, we didn't even talk about that, did we? If 10,000 does break, I mean, all of the same downside targets are pretty much relevant for the short term. I look for a quick move down to about 97, small bounce there with continuation implied towards 94.50. I do not think that we'd bottom there. I think that that'd be another, that'd be a bigger bounce, but very likely fail. I do think that would be more likely is that we'd go down to 9100-ish region, give or take, 50, like $100 from there, and that area could be a reversal. If that area fails, that's when I do start to get on the 7100 to 7500 train. I do not think that we'd stop at 8,000. I mean, short-term bounces, yes, absolutely. It's not gonna be like a straight line down, although sometimes you get that right there. Cue Lexington Steel gif. But unlikely, just likely in general to glide its way down there over like a month or two or whatever it ends up being. So looking at this right now, you can see kind of all the major levels on the downside, and then of course we should plot out the 7100 or sorry, like the 7500-ish region, of which that's like right around here, which has been a nice pivot point for the market. You can see all this price action accumulated right here, right here, right here, right here, and major breakouts and breakdowns above and below it anytime that area does essentially break. So that is kind of my all-encompassing view right there. I think now it's going to be a good idea to maybe go check out some of the other market, leaders like Mr. Buteral. Mr. Buteral had a much better close in Bitcoin yesterday, closing significantly above the 21 exponential moving average right here. No longer has a negative slope, but let's see what everything else looks like right here as well. Yeah, major moving averages are completely different posturing compared to it. In fact, CME for Bitcoin and Ethereum spot price action have very similar relationships between the 21 and the 55, and that would look like that Bitcoin is not going to actually play out that cross on the daily for spot price action. It's probably going to revert it. So it is going to be very, 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 very relevant to watch CMEs for overall efficacy of this, of this impending one. Looking at the daily right here, momentum oscillators wise, we're looking at daily Stokes. We do have a trend line forming right here, but that would also suggest that we got some time protecting against the edge of the bearish control zone. Funny how those things work, isn't it? But overall, that would still imply that we're going to try another 1 to 2 days of momentum on the daily and regaining the 21 like this. Typically I would target the next move up to the medium term time frame range. In this case, that would be about 408, 405, 410 actually. 410 just sounds easier to say. 410. 410. Mr. Buteral to me looks very similar to Bitcoin. More importantly is whether or not it actually prints a higher high here on the, okay, let's find what time frame this goes up to. Yeah, on the 6 hour, I do have this upper area marked off over here. I actually think that's less relevant than what this area would imply right here if we actually broke above it. And that would be the area between about 402.5 to about 410-ish region. So a nice, slightly lower than $10 region right here. Above this region, I would get overall bullish on Mr. Buteral once again for new highs on this run actually. And, of course, there's going to be pullbacks, along the way. And it's probably not going to happen all in the same day, but I would be looking for, a move generally to about 420, 440, and then whatever the prior high right here is like 490 or whatever, and then set it up for an actual breakout, to new highs perhaps. So technically speaking, the problem with this one is that, at the current moment is that the 6 hour, this 6 hour little stutter step right here, it's 395 to 400-ish region is still in our face. And as long as that is present, do we technically have, well, actually, no, we would not have bearish evidence present here. No, actually, I'm completely on the wrong side of this one. Let's see. 8 hour is in the process of reverting it as well. Yes, we did get a slightly higher low right here. Yeah, we actually are trading on a new higher high as well. So no, that's unlikely to work out. Actually, I'm really glad that I looked around all these different time frames. No, that's actually not in the cards right now at all. In fact. Let's look at historical volatility percentile. Are we lining up for a move here as well? Hourly is expanding right now. But as you can see, it actually is in line with this trend line right here, just drawing a nice little regression through it. So I do think that the majority of this current short-term move is probably over. And I do think that we probably resolve this range somewhere around here, somewhere where it's about 75% full. That would be about 19th to 20th of this month. So that is, looking at my calendar right here, high probability of around end of this next coming week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, about that time. But the overall context of this right now, again, contraction with implied resolution, basically later this week. So fair enough. Looking at it currently speaking, do we have like bearish evidence in the hourly? We do. Oh no, we're going to zero. One stab, two stab right there, correlated with this high and this high right here. Yeah, probably does trade back down short term to 380. So we're going to fucking zero next. No, just kidding. But I'm curious how high of a time frame this goes up to before judging this one a little bit more harshly. Yeah, we don't even really have really have it available on a buy hourly. So I'm very hesitant to say that even the hourly is going to play out that low. Move down to like 380, very possibly likely, but we don't even see it present on the buy hourly, which you would expect. Maybe 3 hours shows all. Nope, still would not have it there either. 3 hour is bouncing, rejecting off the 200 simple as it is right now. Again, I think that more or less the same thing on this one as I do on Bitcoin. We've probably seen the high of the range for now. And I'd be looking for it to trade back down to where we closed at Friday, of which Friday, September the 11th, was closing price at, I believe it was 2100 right here. So that'd be Mr. Buterol, somewhere around like 370-ish region, just kind of playing off this same sort of blue box territory that we actually broke out of yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, something like that. So right around here, and then the same sort of implications with this level would be implied to the upside and the downside. Below this level, below like what is this, 365? I'd be looking for another move down to the range lows, somewhere right around like 335 region. But assuming that doesn't happen, which I'd probably look for Bitcoin to choose direction on that one more than anything else. I'd look for it to kind of create another short-term range between where we are right now, basically at 390, and that's in that former base at 365, and then work its way off of that with using this as the next sort of relevant blue box to the upside. And if this one gets broken to the upside, personally speaking, I actually do think that this one just turns around to generally move up towards a prior high and beyond. But technically speaking, if you're going by the book, using this sort of a style, you actually really want to you'd really want to see like 435 be broken to the upside. I think that would be more or less of a formality right here. Anyways, how's the weekly shaping up for something like this too? Yeah, the weekly looks a little more healthy in comparison to Bitcoin. Let's go actually to our more long-term chart over here. Yeah, 386. Okay. Yeah, Yeah, I don't have too strong opinion on this chart right here. I mean, I always have to remember that this is what the real chart looks like. Still would not be too crazy to see this thing come back down to like $200 overall, but for right now, I suppose you still got to favor the upside. Just have a golden cross on the weekly, still maintained above all major moving averages. My rule is I'm not bearish on anything that's doing something like that. What I think is really going to be more important for this upcoming week is going to be the direction chosen from traditional markets, and I do have major reservations with that right now. We spoke about this at length yesterday morning and the day prior as to what to look for. I don't really want to go through a shit ton of things right now, but bearish evidence has been officially confirmed. 1, 2, 3 drives correlating with this high, and this high on the weekly, by the way. And I do think that we're going to be heading back down to about 10.5 coming into next sometime this next week. Could we open up on Monday and then sell back down? Yes, but overall, I do think that we come back down to about 10.5, and that will drive all major markets very, 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 very likely. In fact, let's go look at Dixie really quick too. Where's fucking Federal Reserve when you need them? Dixie went up on a 5-minute. Wait, I need to get short. Sorry, man. I'm sincerely not giving you shit. It's just funny. Okay, so so when you're looking at Dixie, just for reference, you know, can you trade the lower term time frames? Yes, but if you're trying to match it up with another asset, like correlation wise, you really want to be looking at something that has a little bit more oomph to it, like a daily perhaps. And in this case right here, you actually do think that this one is sitting in a base. I don't really have anything to add here that I already haven't said. You know, I think that we could come back down to like 92, maybe even 91, but overall, I do think that this is the next major bottoming area. We've had the somewhat initial etchings of a reversal over here. We have closed on a new high, but we haven't necessarily confirmed a new higher low. So if that does happen, then yes, I would look for most things in the world markets to reverse, Bitcoin included, all magic internet monies included. But for right now, it's, you know, this is going to take a long time, man. You're not going to revert I mean, you're not going to revert like a fucking, you know, few year long trend in just a couple weeks. I mean, realistically, when you look at the monthly right here, it becomes very visually apparent that yes, there are a lot of things going for the boo laws here. There's a good amount of hidden bullish divergence here between this low and this low, all along the 200 exponential moving average, as historical volatility percentile is absolutely fucking crushed. To me, that's like a fucking dream signal, and that's one of the reasons why I am long term extremely bullish on this. But you know, when we're looking at a monthly like this, and I'm talking like long term on an asset like this, I could be talking like 3 to 5 years out. Even though I do think like over the next 6 months to a year, we probably do trade back up towards 95 or 96 bucks. But for right now, you know, you can see that even if it is going to put in a bottom right here, it probably doesn't, probably doesn't officially reverse even above like, 94 bucks until at the very least October. And that's quite some time from right now. So I'd more or less be looking for some sideways, frustrate the shit out of people, and run Federal Reserve's mind wild, and then they'll probably end up being right, which is great. Anyways, let's see what else we want to look at. Nothing to update on traditional markets, even though we looked at them again for whatever reason. Maybe let's do a quick look at, I don't know, what are the hot shit coins nowadays? I don't even know, man. I only know Link, but Link actually deserves the praise. Daily on Link, definitely not as strong as the other assets that we've seen in this market. Weekly still hovering above the 10 simple. I'd still give it another chance to bounce, assuming that we do close above 12 bucks this week. But I would not be making any calls at all between right now and the weekly closure. I think that right now is the time to be watching. Let me just check out what's going on over here. Hey, God damn it, TradingView, stop giving me alerts. I hate that. No, it's all good. But looking at this right here, I don't have anything to make off this as it is right now. Maybe the Bitcoin parent will have something to say. Let's see, where's she at? Hello, sir. And when I don't have something to say, I think it's really important for me to say that I'm not confident, or I don't have something to say just in general, because a healthy amount of I don't know is healthy in my opinion, because you don't always have to know what's going on, man. And we've had some great plays on this one, even though I don't even fucking trade it myself, so hopefully someone else is taking all the glory. But when the edge is not there, you don't need to trade. Looking at the daily on the Bitcoin parent, not really gonna give me too much here either. If I did have to call this one, I do think that it will pull through here back up to like 135,000 satoshis, but don't feel confident on that one right now. I want to see the weekly closure, then we can come back to it. Maybe the low term timeframes have something to say. Sideways as sideways gets, technically an ascending triangle. We got higher lows, baby, higher lows, and about to get a golden cross, or sorry, no. We're actually almost in danger of getting a death cross right here. So as long as it's maintaining these higher lows, I would probably go with the former and look for this one to come back up to like 135,000 satoshis. But if we do start to break this higher low structure, which our last higher low was 120,000 satoshis, well, it will get the death cross, and I'd be looking for another move back down to 100,000 big ones, 100,000 big satoshis, you fuckers. Just kidding. Let's go look at the total market cap over here. All right, total on cryptocap.com. Welcome to oh my god, man, I can't help myself right now. Looking at 4 hour for this, what do we see? Nothing that we haven't seen on Bitcoin's price action already. Hitting the 21 on the daily. Also another signature that we're very unlikely, at least as it is right now, to play out the bearish cross of the 21 and 55. Just because on total market cap, we've actually already taken off the 55. Impossible to get a bearish cross when you're trading above one of the major moving averages, obviously. And this looks a lot more like another higher low in a series of higher lows on a long-term uptrend. I'm not bearish on anything that's above all major moving averages as it is right now. So there we go. Until we actually close below this region, which is 328 billion with a B, market cap I think fine for what it's worth. Bitcoin dominance, we'll do a quick look at this one as well. And how much time are we in right now? Oh my God, 39 minutes. What the fuck? Same areas here. So yeah, let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's wrap this bitch up. And what do we see? Or actually, let's go over here to a secondary chart. We already know the ranges. Daily MACD is actually about to cross up, man. So I'd say that there's actually more. There's probably more things in the court for the Bullish here than not going into this week. You know, if I did a call right now, I actually do think that Bitcoin will pop back up here to like 11,000 and beyond. But still, I need to see those levels taken out. Especially if we see the MACD have a positive cross, or sorry, bullish cross right here alongside price action getting especially above 10.5. I think that would be a damn good indication that we're not just gonna be going up to 11,000 overall, but probably back up to the $11,500 to $12,000 region. And it would generally be just continuation. So how's it going to look like on a weekly and monthly? Well, more or less up. There you go. But you know, until that happens, it's still, you know, it's still just a possibility. It hasn't happened just yet. In fact, still a little bit further away. So this is going to have a chance to happen today, though, to be fair. So keep that one in mind. A daily closure above 10.5 plus a bullish MACD cross, that would actually be very, very good for me. Breaking a level plus momentum being confirmed in the same direction. Ooh, perfect. What else do we have here, though? 20 simple on the Trollinger Bands is currently where? 10.9. Okay, makes sense. And we're really just kind of repeating ourselves at this point. So 4-hour closure above 10.6 or daily or 12-hour closure above 10.5. I'd be targeting moves up to like 10.9 or 11,000. Personally speaking, I think that's more or less of a what's called formality. And, you know, while things would very likely reject from there on the first pass, I would look for them to give another try higher. But I would technically like to see those same timeframes close above 10.9 or 11,000 to denote continuation to just general upside 11.3, 11.5, 11.8, same ranges as August. By the same token, to the downside, I do think that 10.250 is very much relevant, as that is where CME's closed on Friday. And as you know, if I had to call this one right now, I do think that we probably stall a little bit more here, and then coming into around the time that CME's open, in between that time and New York Stock Exchange open for tomorrow, look for another retest down to 10.250. Does that imply that we'll head lower down to 10,000? No, not necessarily. As long as we're caught between these two blocks, I don't really have any new things to talk about there. Just like when we hit this hit this bottom size support over here, it's like, all right, generally just looking for a test of the top side of the range, which now we're getting. I usually say the same thing about this one right here, and well, I guess that's what I'd be saying right now as well. So with that said, I think it's time for me to wish you the best and the happiest. Take care. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next time.